Recently, I was talking to a guy about his after-college goals. They were big goals for sure. High-level management within a large corporation, a big office with a view. All the normal lofty goals for moving up within a big company. While he was telling me his plan, find a good company, work hard, move up, I couldn't help but feel that business model went out of style in the 1980s, along with pension plans. While that model worked great for my grandparents 60 years ago working in the Midwest, it doesn't really work anymore. The idea of staying at a company for your entire career and moving up the ladder just sounds so restricting. What if one of your bosses doesn't like you, and you end up sitting in a windowless cubicle for 10 years, waiting for him to retire, just so you can get that promotion you've been waiting on for a decade? Will company loyalty get you far in that scenario? Funny enough, it seems that large companies hire many of their VPs and high-level management personnel from other companies. Whether they just want new perspective, fresh blood, or someone new who can change the atmosphere or implement a new key management system, large companies often forget about employees who have been with them for years, who are hungry to move up and have worked hard to prove themselves. In any case, moving up within a large company is a steep hill to climb, if you get the chance to climb it at all. Throughout this whole conversation about his after-college goals, I couldn't help but think about Rich Dad's advice. Why not just build your own ladder instead? Instead of climbing a large, well-established ladder over 40 years in hopes that you can become one of the top decision makers, just construct your own ladder, if you have what it takes to do so. How does one construct their own ladder exactly? Well, there are actually more ways than you might believe, but in this video I'm going to talk about one of my favorites, buying into your industry. Let's take a look at the coffee industry for this video's example. In the area where I grew up, coffee was, and still is, a very big part of people's lives. The Pacific Northwest is a very gloomy place, as it is very often gray and cloudy. As a result of this gloom, people in the area often need a pick-me-up. This need created a booming demand for coffee, as being the birthplace of the coffee giant Starbucks might suggest. While Starbucks is definitely the big kid on the block in Washington, and a lot of other places for that matter, they are not the only ones cashing in on the energy-drained people in the Pacific Northwest. Small coffee stands are on nearly every major street corner in the highly trafficked areas. Most of these coffee stands are very affordable to operate, with relatively low operating cost. They are placed on leased properties, often parking lots, with easy access to people in their cars and people walking by. They are strictly drive-through and do not offer seating or bathrooms to the public. Something else that makes them cheap to operate is the culture of tipping in those areas. A barista making minimum wage, or just over minimum wage, often get their income supplemented by customer generosity. Even small tips add up because of the high volume of traffic going through the stands. Even though, as the owner, you are not paying them a large amount of money, they are still making a good income respectfully once tips are accounted for. Many people start off in this industry in high school. They keep the same job for long periods of time, learning the ins and outs of the industry. Once they know all they need to, they go off on their own and buy their own small coffee stand. Because of the low buy-in cost and the low operating cost, they are able to use what they have learned early on in their lives to become business owners in the same field. If they do well, many elect to expand. They buy more coffee stands to grow their business. I have met many people who took this route and became very successful. In Everett, Washington, an up-and-comer has started doing this very thing. She worked as a barista in high school and early on in college. She decided to cut college short and go into the business she already knew. She did take a few college classes to help her with the operations side of things, which helped her launch farther, faster. Once she felt confident in herself, she used her extra college money and her savings to buy 2 coffee stands right off the bat. She lived as cheaply as she could, putting all of her extra money back into the business to help it grow in the early years. The last time I was updated to her success, she was 26 and owned 8 highly profitable coffee stands in her area. The brand is well known, and I have no doubt she will not stop growing anytime soon. Another woman I met while I was in Alaska had over 20 different coffee stands and shops. She had her own coffee supply store, her own coffee bean roaster brand, and an espresso machine repair company. Her coffee bean brand is very popular, and I have seen it being sold all over Seattle, thousands of miles away from her point of operation. She also sells her knowledge to those who are starting out in the industry. For a small fee, she gives mentoring to those newcomers in the industry. Selling her expertise has turned the 20 years of experience she has into an asset of its own, on top of her already impressive portfolio in the industry. While these small coffee stands are no Starbucks, they are competing with them within the same industry. If you have the skill, the passion, the drive, the dedication it takes to start your own company this way, then more power to you. This concept is not just for those who can make the corner office, but for anybody with the ability to succeed on their own and compete within their industry. Although it does take the right opportunity, hard work, and a whole lot of willpower, for me, buying into an industry seems a lot more fruitful than climbing somebody else's ladder. I would rather spend 40 years of my life creating my own ladder than taking somebody else's lead trying to climb theirs. Instead of trying to stand out while working within their preset standards, I would rather play my own way on my own terms. Buying into an industry is a very common way of starting out on your own journey independently. Because it uses skills you have already learned while climbing somebody else's ladder, the transition to building independently is much easier than it otherwise would be. Although it still takes the right niche and the resources to get started, the idea of buying into your industry can be used all over, in almost all markets and fields, on large and small scales. The idea of buying into your industry is not for everybody, but for me, win, lose, fail, win big, or lose everything, I would rather do it on my own than be controlled by a job that would replace me in a week if I left. I hope this video gave you a lot to think about. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to my channel for future content.